Bula.
Vula.
Naka
Bula
everyone
Dexter,
for being here
Naka.
again. I
Naka.
think that there's a great deal of faith that is coming involved, especially with the technology, to be here with the Yangona and with good friends, and the technology seems to be following suit. So I won't resist it. We'll keep going, and welcome to the third episode of Portal Talanoa, Nisambula Vinaka from Suva and Selborne Road. So I'm here with Master Simione Sevudredre. We have Jeffrey, and we have, can you remind me of your name, please? Vasiti. And Sanaila. Yeah, we got our friend Johnson as well as Jasmine. And today we're going to have some Talanoa on Fijian musicality and understand a little bit more about the rhythm of Fiji. So, Naka.
Bula Vinaka to everybody
Mala.
watching also from around the world, or Pacific and Fijian diaspora, wherever you are, we welcome you, Bula Vinaka. Bula Vinaka we kay kiman, ni sar-sar tumiwalan. Kau titika ni pakapola ka bikemuni na Talanoa, but ni Talanoa, may Suva, na Mana Coffee, Selborne Street Suva, Tawalip.
Naka. So I am really excited to be able to explore the topic that we've collectively decided to get into today. So Fijian musicality. I've been living in Fiji for almost a year, and the musicality and the rhythm of Fiji has been an unexpected joy to experience. My visits to the villages, and also just with friends, there's a lot of rhythm involved in life here, and I know that is a result of a very long history of cultural use of music, and the various roles that it has played, both historically and in contemporary Fiji, is something that I've been really interested to learn more about. In fact, I've felt, as I'm studying Sauvaka Culture, the Fijian language, it's a very musical language. At least from English, Fijian has a sense of rhythm and intonation that I feel itself says something about the musicality of the place. So I wanted to explore this topic with you and see what comes through.
Naka.
So that's my own feeling about
Naka.
curiosity around Fijian musicality, and I'm curious if you could share a little bit more about that, especially maybe just in the language side in the beginning.
Naka. Thank you, Dexter. For those of you who are watching this live or delayed, we have ancient songs that do not confine to the major and the minor scales of Western music. My colleague Jeffrey is in a bit stronger position to speak on that, because of his background in choral music and in ethnomusicology. But for today's purpose, we have a very old body of sound, which have somewhat diminished because of modernization, and also with due respect due to Christianity. The songs that are sung, the hymns, they run on the Western major minor scale. And from that Western major minor scale evolved the harmony, 3-part, 4-part songs, love ballads that we have today. But we also have, before the love ballads of 4-part voices of the trios, we also have chorals, choir singing. That was when our traditional singing changed or evolved. We had 4-part singing in the choir brought in by the church, Methodist church, and also there was this kind of singing ring. It's a folk style of singing. We call it singing ring. It's a combination of singing and Ring King Kava that evolved in Suva, at the early days of Suva, where there would be just one lone lead melody voice and one or two other treble singing, and the rest of the voices are the bass voices. Very much reminiscent of our traditional Meke sound, where there's only one or two or three voices and everybody else sings the bass.
Yeah.
But those sounds are hard to find now, and we have gone into contemporary sounds. But the text also has changed. See, in our Meke text sense verses, we celebrate everything from nature, weaving, etc. We talk about history. But as the songs began to evolve, our forefathers began to use metaphors. They'll say, they'll be communicating about something, but the song lyrics will be going in another direction. It's a way of being polite. One does not openly bare oneself's soul in the text. They hide it in metaphors, expressions. Those songs are very rare to find today. Many of our pop songs today are in your face kind of, I'm heartbroken and I'm lonely, I'm dejected. Whereas in the olden days or prior to that, they would sing about pining after the moon and feeling disconnect from the moon, which is essentially saying the same thing, but in richer poetry. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm being very general here. Jeff would like to add if you want. But other than that, the text we have, there's one song we were prepared, if it's okay.
Please. Yeah.
This is a song that the lyrics is Enambongi ni Vinaka na Vula. The translation is On Nights When the Moon Shines. This is a folk song that was composed by, I stand corrected, by the Tamani from Novalau. The song talks about the loss, the nostalgia, when the capital was shifted from the old capital in Levuka to Suva. So the one who composed the song or came up with the concept, the idea, was from the old capital in Levuka and was around the harbor area, and saw how the waves were ebbing and flowing, and memories went back to Levuka. So the song will open with a song, three parts voices, along the lines of the romantic ballads, Fijian. And the song talks about yearning for Levuka. The text, they'll see the text of the song.
Yeah.
But if I read it out, the Fijian text we will sing out, but the English translation is On Nights When the Moon Shines, as I tarry on in Suva, when the waves lazily lap on the shores, I am overwhelmed with nostalgia. Alas, my dear Ovalau, fringed around by reefs, my ears seem to hear the sounds of the pounding of its surf. I am emotional when they say that Levuka is deserted. Oh, how I yearn to stroll neath its tall verandas when the street lights go out. Indeed, Suva is immense fun. One can always find all the time, yet never will I ever give up my memories of Levuka. So we'll sing the version acapella and Bogi. We'll sing it today. I'll put the mic down. In the morning, Vila Vinaka na Vula. Oh, my tu Yesu.
Elulumu na lomangu ni ramai kaya. Boleh buka salala. Au ngai ngau di mana ruku ni varanda. Nina moko tuna vina ni ngau ni sala. Isa ole ko malau ni volita na kenagakau. Eva kamero romo tunga mai veiko keyau nandomo ni kenambiau. Endina nilevu na lasa esua. En senga ni ali seta kali wakandua nanomu nanumi lemuka. Isa leiko na kenabakau. Eva kamero romo tunga mai veiyau veiyau nandomo ni kenambiau. Eva kamero
Vinaka.
What were you thinking?
I felt nostalgic, actually.
Ah,
Even though I've never been to Levuka. I felt a sense of like, yeah, there was some
yearning.
real longing in that.
longing. Oh,
in that
thank
song.
you. That's encouraging because we delivered with the right interpretation, the emotional. Oh, Naka, you're most welcome.
How long ago was that?
This was composed at the early 1900s.
Wow. So Levuka was capital
Before Suva.
before the 1900, before the century.
Yeah.
So in the
Capital moved to Suva in 1888. The proclamation that Suva is the capital was 1886. I'm not sure but it's one of those mid 1800s.
right.
So the capital was established in 1874, and
Right.
Fiji was ceded to Great Britain.
Actually, one thought that came through my mind almost immediately when you were describing the song was there a political undercurrent to this song? And who is this Ovalau?
Ovalau is the island
Oh, I see.
on which the capital is.
Old capital of Fiji.
All right.
Ovalau is the name of the island. So when the text says, Isawili ko Ovalau, oh, my anguish for Ovalau, or yearning.
Right.
Yeah. In terms of your question, what was their political undercurrent?
Yeah.
Perhaps, but articulated, expressed through a soft way in song
In the song,
instead of disruptive way. Yes.
direct.
Yeah. Perhaps, but then as in song, as in any art form, it's open to direct interpretation. Yeah. Yeah.
Something I have a question about, because the song that I think was the first real experience I had in Fiji of people singing together was at a funeral. It was at a memorial for a dearly departed colleague. And there was a small gathering that happened in our apartment, and this was the same week that I arrived in Suva. And it was also my first formal Kava ceremony, Yankona ceremony in Suva. But it was a memorial for this departed friend and colleague. And everyone sang Isale. And it was such a powerful experience to sit there and hear there was people from all over Fiji. There were Indo-Fijians, there were Itauke, there were Chinese Fijians. There were so many different people singing this one song. And I was wondering if you could share maybe a little bit about that word, Isale, but also that kind of farewell song that I feel in this song as well. Kind of a reminiscence, and it's kind of melancholy but also bittersweet at the same time.
The word Isale is hard to translate into English. I just thought of this scenario, but they're very different. But the scenario is when somebody gets slapped on the face. The first reaction is ouch, to say that hurts. But the difference is that with a slap, it's reactive. It's the slap and the reaction is from a violent position. But the ouch, to signify pain, is in Isale. But the difference is there's no one slapping and there's no one being slapped. The hurt is felt. And the ouch is Isale. In a way, it's a deep-seated hurt. It's a deep-seated, it can also express a yearning. They could say other. These memories, when someone thinks of someone, misses someone, it's like ouch, but the English ouch is so does not really capture the essence of Isale. Isale is something ouch, ow, ouch is like, but ouch and ow are physical pain.
Isale is more
Emotional.
I see. Yeah, that feels very intuitive. Like I definitely, I felt that even before it was kind of explained like that. Yeah.
So, which is why it's in the national farewell song, Isale. It's a deep-seated hurt, being departing friends, who leave and go away, and that constant, because the reason there's always this deep-seated yearning is because culturally, when you belong to a community, to a family, you belong forever. You go, your descendants come, you're still welcome. So that's the sense of once connected, we're connected for forever. Intergenerational connection. So when somebody says Isale, that means you are someone who has left our midst, has gone away, and missing that so-and-so's presence.
Yeah.
That yearning, that missing is Isa, with that tone, Isale. Yeah.
And there's also a sense there of that the person won't be forgotten because it's you're always connected. Even if the person departs, it's like a recognition that we will always be connected.
Yes.
And so
it's departure physically, it's also departure when one dies.
Right.
And so the word Isale, Isa and Isale, comes from a deep-seated anguish. It's hard to find the exact words in English because the way trauma / pain is expressed is more or less bottled up, but it comes out in the song. We're not openly expressive about our sadness, except in a collective setting where there's a vigil or some funeral, somebody dies and there's crying. But usually the Isale expresses the unexpressed anguish and hurt in a people, in a clan, in a group.
Wow. Is there, thinking about a song that is kind of, yeah, you said yearning
Yep.
for a place, for, I mean, in this case, Levuka. Are you aware of, because we have mentioned the Fijian diaspora that has left quite a few people.
Yep.
Is there contemporary music that has also followed a similar, been expressing a similar thing?
Oh, yeah. When you say, well, there's a lot. They can express anguish with a faster beat. And when you say contemporary, this is a contemporary song.
Yeah, I suppose.
This is contemporary. Perhaps let's sing the song about Suva, which is the beat is the tempo is a bit fast. Just to compare what we just sung, the next song is talks about Suva. Yakavi. This song was composed by the Southern Brothers. They come from the island of Kandavu. The story goes, after the war, returning from the Malaya campaign. No, not Malaya campaign. That's Malaya. Because the composer is still alive. Sinai from Lebanon. The military soldiers they go for peacekeeping, UN, and when they return, they are absent from Fiji for a year. There's the story of this particular platoon. They touched down at Nandi airport, and they had to come by truck from Nandi to get back home in Suva. And the old road was gravel and winding. They didn't mind because they were happy to be back alive in Suva. And there's when one travels the old highway from Nandi to Suva, when you get to the central division, the highway gets to a certain point where you are high up elevation, and you see Suva in the distance, and the lights just there out in the distance. And when this platoon of soldiers saw the lights, they went into overdrive. We're happy, we're home. Wow. And as the truck moved, they began to chant, Suva, Suva, Suva. So they're happy to come back, to revisit the bars, revisit the Kava bars, etc. And to just enjoy and be back home. And as they're chanting, Suva, 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 one of the soldiers' men said, we must not forget this moment of our immense happiness, coming in the truck and seeing the lights of Suva. And that statement, the one who also composed the song, this song you're about to sing, was also part of that platoon. And he said, we will not forget this moment. And that song is called Ni Lutu Yakavi, which is As the Sun Sets in Suva's Harbor. And it's a very short song with one verse and just a chorus. The lyrics go, as the sun sets in Suva's harbor, I'm reading the translation, lights flicker, the town fills with colors. I am amazed as I stroll the streets, melodious strains so sweet to my ears. Come, see the town, an everlasting heritage. And they mention old settlements or communities, Turak, Baniwai, the Crusher. I am overwhelmed with Suva. There's a place here place names. The suburb of Turak is Turaki. Another suburb is Mbaniwa, it no longer exists. And the other suburb called the Krasha. The Krasha is where the Dolphin Plaza is. There was an old sugar mill there. And when the sugar mill was relocated to Nusori, they had the first Kava bar there. And we don't refer to street names. We say the Krasha or the mango tree or the guava tree. We refer to natural or whatever is permanent feature. So the Krasha was actually the Fiji's Suva's first Kava bar, Suva at Fiji. But I digress. The song is about Ni Lutu na Yakavi, which talks about the experience of coming back, nostalgia, happiness, but the tempo is a bit celebrate happy. Let me remove the mic. No, na kena na yata nga bullet ko na inggan. That was a song composed by Manu Vula and originally sung by this old string band group named the Southern Brothers because they come from Kandavu Island, which is in the south of Fiji. And that's the memory that they wish for to be commemorated forever. And that's the song that has the memory of coming back from war, peacekeeping, sorry. You're deep in thought.
Well, it was just like you just mentioned that war and peacekeeping, and I'm reminded of how a friend of mine, a researcher at University of Waikato, Dr. Aparosa, he's told me stories of how the Fijian soldiers on deployment, after they finished a dispatch or a patrol, they would come back and they would talanoa, and they would play music inside of the barracks, playing all sorts of songs and drinking ancona, and that helped them to process what they had maybe experienced outside, which in some cases could have been very intense. And it reminds me that, yeah, wow, it's music itself is a very therapeutic
Yes.
thing, and I think combining with yankona as well, you have like a real, very powerful
It was
combination.
healing. It still is very healing. It's one of our earlier sessions I mentioned that we do not have a specific word for suicide, for that same fact, the solidarity. For the trauma, we sang and we danced. And that was healing. In those days, in the early 70s, after returning from peacekeeping duties, the atrocities are mitigated, through singing. That was the time when there was a lot of prolific church singing and prolific community folk songs singing. So you're right, Dr. Sambulare, Dr. Apombulare, Tau, for the songs. They were our form of resilience, emotional, collective resilience. See, because the trauma was such, we didn't do a psychological, like, how was it? Because the idea is, all the trauma in the heart is all there. In order to come out, you have to fill it in with the good ones, good thoughts, good emotions, the singing, and it cancels out the bad vibes, the bad, the bad karma. You know, man, I was speaking, framing it in how trauma was dealt with and how healing took place. It was collectively done. It was not done one-on-one, an interview psychology style.
Yeah.
You just sit there, let's drink, listen to the singing, listen to the jokes, and that's the collective solidarity, group togetherness begins to re-emphasize to the person who's suffering. We are here. We may not directly talk to you, but we are in your presence, and we sing, and we talanoa, and we drink kava. At least that's the context of the talanoa and the singing and the healing. Just to add on to this.
So I find that very interesting, and I usually extrapolate things and I compare with different cultures, right? I find that might be a parallel, what Simione described just now, might be a parallel to the gospel singing in black churches in America, right? Now, you don't see that amongst Buddhists. They don't sing during the service, but the Hindus, or well, at least the Hare Krishnas sing, right? So I'm just wondering, maybe this is a universal thing when you don't have psychotherapy.
Yeah.
And this could be an alternative way, and religion has that role to play.
Yes. Now that you mention, it's not only the singing, it's sound.
Yes.
Sound, whether chanted or sung. Sound has a miraculous, mysterious way of healing. And And in the olden days, we had chants for going out to fish, and another chant from returning to fish, and then chants from grandmothers to their grandchildren, mothers to their babies. They sung, they chanted, and what they were actually inputting emotionally and into the mind was poetry, holistic, wholesome words. This is before, I don't think our ancestors even knew, but they were well ahead of their time before the child psychologists like Jean Piaget. Child psychologists, you need to input. Brain development comes with inputting words, holistic, complete words. We had it centuries earlier. And the inputting was not only through, hey, say this word, it was actually sung and chanted. Te, te, ulai, te, malangi, te, tili, tili, te, no. In a sing song.
That's the chanting.
Yes.
It's like this, how the sutras are sung, how the mantras are chanted. So it's very similar to the Buddhists or to the Hindus. And I totally agree. There is power in sound. It can move me to cry. It can move me to,
Many of our chants are the old sound form combinations are not common now in our churches today, but in the work that we do in our consultancy, we unpack, repack or reframe Christian principles from a cultural perspective. So for example, when we're talking about traditional chants, when we frame it and say, this is the version of how you can understand this biblical principle, when I've, a few occasions I say, when we look into the Holy Bible, the book of Genesis, it says, in the beginning God created the world. He said, let there be light. So many think it was an actual command, let there be light. It's actually sound. Sound creates and can destroy. So with that, then I connect, these are the sounds of our ancestors. They created thoughts, they created high thinking, they created behavior, the required behavior. They also, not control, they also created the right frequencies to get fish in abundance. They sang and chanted when they were trying to clear bush to establish a plantation. The singing, the chant, they had these frequencies, their vibration to get the soil ready spiritually. They saw that, they knew that. That's why they had those chants. I'm glad we're talking about it today. We never talked about this.
So when let there be light, it's, to me, it's almost like saying, let there be consciousness.
Yes.
Through sound.
Sound, yes. Which is why, even that let there be light or sound, when we are not speaking, when you're having Kava, that's the sound, to acknowledge. We acknowledge through voice, and we acknowledge through sound. And if you're in a village gathering, and somebody's outside wants to join, and it's night time, there's a password. The password is our acclamation. They have to say something out loud. It'll get our attention. Then we look, and then, come in. Because the belief was, if you did not, if you did not say the acclamation, you're either a malevolent spirit, or you're coming with a different agenda, something that would be hurtful. The utterance of the tama, in the night they say, Bongsaka, in a loud voice. It is an acclamation that, and that frequency, when it is responded by those who hear, they say they respond collectively. They respond collectively. Let's do a demonstration. How they do the demonstration. Bongsaka! That's how it's done. So sound and response in sound, it creates this energy of being the same ego, harmony.
And you know that you are welcome.
Yes.
Wow, that's great. Is this still practiced
It's
in the traditional setting?
In the villages and not so much in the town.
That's a shame.
Yes, it's a shame. But to some extent, I cannot say for it's not entirely not practice in the towns.
This like
The Muslims have something similar.
Yeah.
Assalamualaikum, peace be upon you.
Ah,
And
yes.
Walaikum salam.
Yes.
And upon you.
Yes. Assalamualaikum. I learned the Hebrew word Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem.
That's one of my ancestral tongues.
Ah.
Is Hebrew. And actually, I mean, it's Yiddish.
Yes.
Was actually spoken by my
Yes.
ancestors, but Hebrew as well, Jewish ancestors. Yeah, it's interesting because you had mentioned, I think it was maybe in our first Talanoa. Naka. About how Yangona amplifies
Yep.
energy, but amplifies speech, especially. Like, if you begin a talanoa and there's a lot of kind of gossip and it's not in a very constructive space, or there's a kind of snippy remarks,
Yeah.
then that gets kind of amplified and it kind of
Yeah.
spirals out of control.
And this is long before science confirmed that water is a good conductor of sound. Water. So Yangono was a portal/conductor of whatever intents, articulated and unarticulated. So to even the frequency, there are words spoken and responded which sort of cancels out the clutter, the negative, and we are all in the same frequency, same space. Jeffrey did that when he began. He uttered words, and the clap was the response. Sound, again, sound.
So I call that the invocation. But what is the correct term for that in Fiji?
When Kava is prepared, completed, there is a invocation. Is the actual presentation, and somebody, they do this and they present.
Right.
It's like a prayer. It is a prayer, actually.
Okay, so
That's the invocation.
Okay.
And then they give the oratory.
Right.
Then for that, that's like announcement.
Right.
Atau an announcement in some word. Oh? Iyo. It's like a prelude to the deeper invocation. It's just announcing and getting everybody to come into our space. Yeah. Garam. The Kava is prepared, but the sound.
Yeah, so when the Sevu Sevu is presented, there are words, and that is the kind of invocation.
That's the
of space.
invocation.
Right.
It's an invocation when it's done the right way. The one who's doing the presentation, the invocation, he is at that moment speaking to the present, the past, and the future. Because at that particular moment, time converges, nexus into one. The person is speaking. He's speaking to this plane, but his words are echoing in the spirit plane, and he's speaking to the past and he's speaking to the future.
Wow. And can I call that like the Itaukei traditional religion or beliefs? Spirituality.
So that's how indigenous spirituality.
Spirituality. I love that. Sorry.
Oh, that's fascinating. Yeah, because I have felt so much of that rhythmic nature when it comes to the opening, like a Sevu Sevu presentation, and then throughout a Talanoa session, I've noticed that also when I've been drinking kava with not necessarily Fijians but Tongans or Hawaiians, the music, once it starts, it doesn't stop. it keeps going kind of deeper and deeper, and everyone sitting comes into the same rhythm. It's like everyone becomes coherent into like a wavelength. And so when people are jamming one ukulele or they're just experimenting, everyone is kind of really listening. And there's less, maybe the talanoa also changes. Like people speak quieter because they're feeling it.
That's not the case in our Kava bars in Suva.
No.
It's like we're entering a nightclub where it's so loud you can't even think. But in the right context, sound is regulated where we have a thinking space and a speaking volume, a speaking.
Yeah.
Yeah, you are right in that. Well, that sensitivity is not in our Kava bars. I don't know whether they're there for Kava or they're there to think. I don't know. It's murky. They haven't explored what's the purpose to come. Contemporary drinking where there's no deep thinking. There's no thinking, full stop. So this is some nuggets from history on Angola. Now it's reversed. After Kava,
Sorry?
When you drink Kava, you need alcohol after that.
Oh.
now the trend, they call it Washdown. Saba. Too much alcohol. Sivian Angon will be a Saba. If there's so much alcohol, I need to wash it off with alcohol. Well, that's how it is.
There's some interesting research that Dr. Aparosa has also been, he's shared with me around the washdown and how it can dramatically increase a negative impact of like a negative health impact to combine those two. That there's something about the molecular makeup of kava that if combined with alcohol, the alcohol becomes much more intense. Yeah, and I mean you get that kind of in the feeling. You may drink kava for an evening and then have a single beer, and that is much stronger experientially than just one. So there's a lot of I think at least from my experience, there's definitely a new culture around that washdown, and potentially some like awareness that needs to be raised about the actual health implications of combining those two, because I think they're larger than people expect.
Yeah. That's the trend, modern day trend as we speak. Evening, come to town, all the cover bars will be full from after work till about 9, 10 p.m. And then the cover bar will be empty because everybody will now move to the club.
Oh.
Because they know that if you really dope with cover, you just need 2 or 3 glasses of beer and you're ready to go home. Rather than spending your whole time at the club.
So there's some element of economics too in there.
Really?
Economics. Drink grog over, and then have a few beers, and you can feel the effect. Is economical, but that's being too naive, because the most expensive drink now in Fiji is kava. A kilo of pounded kava or this is about $70, $100 compared to a box of RTD rich drink, cans of alcohol, which is like 20.
But a kilo of kava translates to a lot more in volume you drink, in that sense. But then again, I mean, to me, that trend, people are drinking kava for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
To get drunk more easily, and that doesn't make sense to me.
Welcome to the post-modern angst Fiji.
But I suppose postmodern angst anywhere, they're
Yes.
finding all sorts of ways to give them this dopamine fix. That's sad.
Saba.
Back to the music, I think.
Taki, yeah. Yeah, perhaps we could explore a song or two more.
Okay, then while we're doing our talo, And the next song is a song from about the moon. Vula is a Vula. Alas, dear moon, don't laugh at me.
My phone.
To those of you who are watching this, via Vula is a Vula is a song that talks about the words go ni Vula is a Vula. Alas, dear moon, don't laugh at me, as I have had my fill of dew streaming from your light. Shine on me atop Mount Overloud. That's the translation. John, come in a second. Karoman. The song that we're going to sing now, it's the tempo is what? Lively, vivace, presto. No. It's Vula is a Vula. Oh, excuse me. Let me remove the microphone, otherwise you will only hear my voice. And my ukulele. Move it out. Okay.
Same island. We'll go there.
The audience or those watching can look at the lyrics on their own because I will send it to each on PDF.
Yes.
But that's Vula is a Vula. How much time do you have left? You know, supposedly 1 hour.
Yeah, well, we can carry on with
Okay.
your next song if you like.
This, the one we just sang, it's the first line, Vula is a Vula, Huon kunda darukia. Alas, dear moon, don't laugh at me. It's a metaphor for unrequited love by a man who's trying to get attention of a girl, but she spurns him. But that's how it's metaphorically, poetically expressed. Alas, dear moon, don't laugh at me, because I've had my fill of dew, streaming from your light. Shine on me atop Mount Overlau, the highest mountain in Yabuka. Overlau is called Dalai Overlau. So that's just a sneak preview to begin understanding, just to begin appreciating the poetry in the certain genres of songs in Fiji.
It seems so indirect to me. So I'm really curious on a more practical note. Would the person that this song was written for know?
No,
No.
it was not meant to be a message to the person.
Right.
It was just a way of expressing how one feels.
Unrequited.
Right. Oh, that's so sad.
Well, see, the sadness is put into a song,
Right.
and it somewhat buffers the.
And why not be more direct and sing a song
Yeah.
that is more direct?
I think that tradition, the bards singing and then singing, was not part of tradition. I'm not excusing that singing love songs to each other was not how ancestors got around to woo, to court. The courting was done through arranged marriage.
Oh.
Yes. So the marriage was mostly arranged in those days
Right.
for security, political reasons, marrying into the right family. But then, just like we have with Romeo and Juliet, there'll always be those who run away and elope. And most of the songs that came out after colonialism were songs about eloping, because they're rebelling from the establishment, from the norms.
I'm reminded of a mythologist that I'm a big fan of, an American named Joseph Campbell. He has a wonderful series of lectures on YouTube called The Power of Myth. And in one of them, the topic is love and romance. And he talks about a shift that happened in Western culture around the sense of like individual pair bonds being how romance is expressed. And this was kind of expressed in music through the troubadours.
All troubadours.
And the troubadours would compose these very beautiful love songs that kind of created some of the mythology and culture around this romance vibe. And it's interesting that, so in Fiji that wasn't really a practice or a feeling.
It
so
was
much.
with our traditional composers, choreographers. They would compose, but they would see the individual emotion was gave way, and the priority or the focus was more on the pro bono, the betterment, what's good for all.
Right.
So the chants in the meke, the composers, the choreographers, they created content that fit status quo. This is where our focus should be.
Yeah. I
Because
see.
the individual can, if not aligned, can begin to unweave the thread of society
Right.
in another way of looking at it. Not to say that individual expressions were stifled, but when it comes to what do you call it when you're writing, the right version, the collective, what is right to be put out there, filter. This is again, we're talking about communication. There is an insider version, and there's a the right the version, the endorsed version
For
for
public
public
consumption.
for public consumption. That was also in our traditional choreography Meki, where the composer or the text, they talked about the history, what's supposed to continue society, societal continuity.
That, I mean, I can't help but think about the political aspect of things. Like the other day, we were enjoying reggae music, right? Jamaica. And I listened to a lot of protest songs that are reggae. Are there protest songs in Fiji? You know,
Yes.
yeah.
Now, yes.
Would you know any of them?
Roots Strata. There was this group that came out of Rewanga as an urban place in Suva. They call themselves the Root Strata.
Okay.
And they emerged around the mid to late 80s.
Right.
Their songs were very political.
Right.
They sang about nuclear dumping. They sang about the Canucks in New Caledonia. And they sang about nationalistic ideas in Fiji being pushed aside, etc., etc. They were very political. And they came up with very original songs, reggae songs.
And did they have that spiritual sentiment to it as well? Because the reggae part also has this spiritual jar, right? And what about Kava and all that?
Theirs was more protest and born out of see, it's like living in harsh conditions, and you come out and your songs are a protest against society.
Right.
But in this case, it was not only protest against society, against the establishment, against the leadership, against the wrong politics, the wrong decisions. Root Strata. They are on YouTube, but sadly they have disbanded. I almost said melted. That's a Fijian word, Veiyatu. Melted away. Yeah.
Wow. I would like to check them out if I can find them on Spotify.
Not on Spotify yet, but they're on YouTube.
YouTube.
Okay.
There's a particular song they sing on YouTube. It's called Nondambulan Dinanay Tauke. The essence of our indigenous lives as a Tauke. And the chorus is very strong. Odeo ira meramai lewa nondengele mendambubal. Who are they to come and determine our land and make us slaves? They, as in speaking out against the lawmakers. This is 1987.
Oh.
87, 88.
But they
The
would have
cool
left
days.
by then. The colonial masters would have
This is against the current politics, the 1987, 88.
Right. Wasn't that the year of the first coup?
Bingo.
Right. Okay. Understood.
For a very original group, they were melted away without. Oh, damn butter. Yeah.
They play traditional instruments?
No,
or
no.
modern instruments?
Modern. They played with reggae beat.
Reggae.
It's a reggae.
We should
group.
check it out
Yes.
Definitely. Yeah, try to find some of them if
and do some cover version.
they're still around. Ask them some questions. Yeah.
Now that song, Nonggumbula Samai, whose song is that? Nonggumbula. Samai Kanibe Wali. It's a different song.
I have no idea what
You have no idea. That's
I know I've sung that song quite a lot.
yeah. Okay.
If I can ask, because I'm really curious. I mean, you're all very talented musicians.
They sing in choirs. They are choir leaders in their own neighborhood. Rewa choir, Methodist choir, and Rewanga Methodist choir.
Okay. Yeah, because I was just curious about how, you've obviously been playing and singing music for a long time. Has that, yeah, did you feel like that was an important part of growing up in Fiji and connecting with your own culture through song?
Predominantly all Methodist. I'm talking about the Methodist Church. When I started learning numeracy and literacy, I had to learn tonic solfa as well. So I had to learn numeracy, literacy, and tonic solfa, which is the do re mi, the music literacy. That one.
Ah, yes.
So imagine growing up with that.
Yeah,
Music was pretty much part of
The hymns,
Yeah.
I see.
hymns, choruses.
But then that means your influence in terms of music then became through the church
It came through the church.
rather than from your Tauke traditions. Yeah.
I did a bit of study in music. So it started from the church, and then whilst being in music school, I had to do ethnomusicology. It was during my time in ethnomusicology that I realized that I didn't know anything about myself. So it was from ethnomusicology that I came to this, learning about my culture. It started through music. As they say, when Master Simi was saying, the mode in singing traditional music, traditional chant, it is it's way out of the Western ionic modes, the pentatonic modes, all that. The way I know if I'm singing, if I'm trying to sing the traditional chant correctly, I'll have to
Suspend your.
whatever I know is right in my Western music learning, divert from that.
You have to put it aside.
No, not just put it aside, like actually divert from that. Sing the note that is totally disregarded or not allowed. And that's how I come to.
Right. That's interesting.
The group that I belong to, we are all choral singers, and when we were trying to sing traditional chant, we could not get ourselves to sing traditional chant because we are so accustomed to the Western chords. That was how we were able to sing traditional chant. We had to divert from the norms that we know. So I'm supposed to sing this song, this note. Don't sing it. Sing the one that's wrong. And that's how we got
The Western music defined the sound as wrong.
So to relate it back to what Master Simione said earlier, you have the chant when you go out to sea, to fish, a chant for coming back. I assume there's a chant for farming. So if you don't chant it using
the right,
the right tones and so forth,
it doesn't work.
it doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
Yeah. So we have to go back beyond the church teachings in terms of music to our traditions to get things to work, so to speak.
And we have limited references to refer to. The ones in the museum, recordings by SPC. So those are probably the oldest recordings of chants that we have.
Did you find that you had to somehow within yourself reconcile what you've learned through the church and what you've learned from your ethnic?
That was as I said, I grew up learning, whilst learning literacy and numeracy, I had to learn tonic solfa. And learning tonic solfa, it's learning it with the whole family.
Right.
We sing every evening during devotion. 3, 4, 5 years old. You're being told what to sing. That note is wrong. This is how you sing it. Listen to this chord. Listen to me singing. Harmonize to this voice, to this sound. Growing up with that. And then learning that there's this particular sound that you're supposed to sing that is out of everything that you've been taught. It's quite a difficult thing to do. I'm usually not worried when I go out to concerts, but when it's time to sing traditional chants, you see me sweating before going on stage because it's still something that I have to learn.
Unlearn and learn.
Yeah.
Right. Wow, thank you for sharing that. I mean, that's a great insight into, I think, kind of music as a whole in Fiji, because evidently there's very strong musicality within the church groups, and then also very strong musicality outside of that in the traditional setting. Yeah, and to know that your skill set has allowed you to actually be able to bridge the two. Yeah, is really quite amazing. Yeah, and I'm very grateful that you have been able to do that. Yeah, wow, fantastic. And about yourself, Simi, when did you?
I was also
begin
brought up in
playing
the
music?
Methodist church and sang in the choir. So like we were, for many of us, our first singing was from home, church. And if we had the chance, we would sing our folk songs. Otherwise, for many of us, our only experience of singing is for the church. These are the hymns and the anthems.
And those are in English or in
Fijian.
Fijian? Even the church?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
It's like Mariah Carey. She grew up in churches singing. Whitney Houston. They grew up singing gospel, singing in
Yes.
church, and that was that propelled them forward, because those opportunities were available there. Here, we don't. Our music satisfaction the church is the only one that has provided it.
Have you heard of Methodist Church?
No.
Oh, we sing repertoires from
Classics.
Hamlet and
Right. Classical
It's,
music.
yeah, it's
Classical
translated to Fijian, but we sing
in Fijian.
in Fijian. We sing it in the note
But with the original
with
score.
the original score.
Wow. You
We
should
have
check that out.
German anthems, 8 parts, 12 parts.
Heavens,
sing that.
heavens are telling
Yeah.
sung in
You should
Fijian.
invite me to your church so I can.
That's the kind of
experience
that's the kind of songs we are singing in church.
Wow.
I think it's doable because we are all musically literate.
Yeah.
So yeah, we sing that kind of songs, and then when we learn about our ethnomusicology, the songs that actually belongs to our forefathers, then most of these choirs cannot sing them.
One of my theses for all the troubles that we have in the world today is the lack of spiritual awareness and spiritual advancement. Do you think, Master Simione, that people who are musically literate or musically inclined would have sort of an advantage in advancing themselves spiritually as compared to people who just think that music is just something I put on the radio whilst I'm doing something else, you know what I mean?
Yes and no. Yes, in the sense that they are in a frequency mode. They are attuned to a frequency and thinking. The no is the enemy to that spirituality is consumerism, having lots of money and resorting to alcohol.
Yeah, and then you could
And then
be
you,
listening to the so-called wrong type of music.
yes, wrong type of music.
Or your
Dif-
attachment to, the sound system or whatever, rather than the content.
Music has its own time and space. Music has its own place, space and time. If one wants to be loud and unruly, go to a place where they play that music.
That's fine.
Yeah. Well, I'm referring to nightclubs.
Okay.
But when one wants to find peace and calmness and centering, they can sing church songs, hymns and the anthems.
Or sutras.
Yes,
Buddhism.
yes. Otherwise, they can also learn to sing our folk songs. But the old chants, the old songs, the old combination, that we have to reclaim, re-own, rediscover.
The question that you just asked. You mentioned spirituality is tied to your inclination to music. Is it?
Not necessarily, but I just find that people who have that inclination to appreciate music, because, okay, let me put it this way. For the longest time, out of our five senses, I used to associate sight as like the top sense. But very late in life, when I explored a form of religion that placed chanting as one of the primary practices of devotion, I then realized that actually the sense of hearing is actually probably more powerful. For example, I could be chanting, some mantra, and I could cry, and have a religious experience. But I seldom have that religious experience just looking at something. Yeah.
You just said, "He who sings twice."
He who sings praise twice.
Saint Francis of Assisi.
Saint Francis of Assisi said that he who sings praise twice.
Praises twice.
Praise.
Your
Praise,
prayer.
praise.
Your
Okay,
prayer.
Okay. So rather than just praying, but singing it, it's like double the
Twice the effect.
Wow. So I wonder if they put the prayer of Saint Francis of Assisi to music, because that is one prayer I can recite by memory.
Well,
Do you
they
have that
they
in-
put the Lord's Prayer to music.
Really?
They put the entire Mass in music.
Right. What about that?
Mozart's Coronation Mass, Handel's.
Pretty much all the prayers are sung.
Lord, make me an instrument of thy peace. That is put to music.
Yes.
Oh.
There are various versions of it.
Okay. I'll love to hear them.
Well, maybe we could play another song.
Well, we have a song to maybe wrapping up. If there's this song, for those of you the Fiji diaspora watching, listening over your Kava bowl from whichever part of the world, the song goes out to you. It's a song that was composed by Ermasi Tamani, a retired school teacher who's passed on. The song is called Veiyatu Yanuyanu, the Fijian Archipelago. Veiyatu Yanuyanu ndo monitale, vindalana roka, kina Canada kau uliwai, sabu, vesini kau nongu vanua, nongu vanoni marawa. The archipelago of islands, beloved and precious, lush hills and green mountains, circled round with reefs, rivers, waterfalls, gardens of flowers, my land of happiness. Track your D. Veiyatu Yanuyanu, no monitale, kendela roka, kena vakau,
vanua ni marau. Vei mongi keiviti, ngandrevi kandomoni, nai moi ni salu-salu, kau melumu ni mongi, velu ni alo, nayango talenga, nongu vanua ni marau. Mau kalivira lesu, nubengutu yawa, bera lesu talemai, ina vanua ni tanra, ni alo, nayango talenga, nongu vanua ni marau. Nongu vanua ni marau. Nongu vanua ni marau.
Vinaka. Wow.
That was Alan. The third verse translation goes, she calls out quietly. The third verse translation, she calls out quietly to her children far and near, return ye all to me, to the land of dreams. And the chorus, my soul, my body are blissfully rested, my land of happiness. Really nostalgic song. Nabaliw. Although those who are watching and learning, singing, I hope you can sing along. And maybe just to honor the people of Rewa, whom this province is the Subas of the province of Rewa. We'll just sing the last song about Rewa. It's a song about the province of Rewa, the people of Rewa. We are Delta people, prone to flooding, but the song speaks of, yes, they are flooding, we have flooding, but that flooding gives them strength and resilience. Paying homage to the province of Rewa. Suba comes under the Rewa province.
Susumi mai, Nambuza ombo Nalele na eramu kili Eramarakakama Idolatatu Dimbita kakandoka Nambuza ombo Dina evaluana Lua soma Aunanga vosotatu Mezolatana Vakado kokatiau Inamulangu Nomumuzanre Sabukeiau
Nakalebu.
Wow. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, yeah, maybe just to wrap things up, yeah, is there any other dimension of Fijian musicality that you'd like to touch on or highlight? I mean, we may well in the future do another episode on this because it's a very vast topic.
We haven't touched on the indigenous sounds. The songs that we chose today was more suited for trio. People who we know, who we have our small collection of indigenous sounds that go, they don't align to Western sound, but those members are committed. So we can, but determine on their availability, because if they are the bass voices and another 2, 3, 4 more, and then we are able to do that.
I see.
Possibly we'll explore. They will play it by ear.
Oh, fantastic.
And for that we'll also have to find time to rehearse when we get confirmations from the availability.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic. Well, I have to thank all of you for coming and sharing your wonderful music with us. I've learned a tremendous amount so far about Fijian musicality, and I've also, learned how much more there is to explore. So I'm excited to continue the Talanoa, and I thank all of the listeners and viewers who have joined us for this expedition through the portal. I appreciate all of you, and I look forward to the next time that we can gather.
Naka.
Nakapakalebu.
Nawalebu Dexter. Nawalebu everybody. Mode, may suba.
Mode.
Kamera. Bonita mo. Iwombo, maga.
Sama the tongo, masa.
Concludes this to Russia.